This ride, it's a monster.
It's the longest steel roller coaster on this half of the planet, on top of it being 325 feet tall and 95 miles an hour.
I dare to say it is the pinnacle moment for everyone involved in this ride.
This one now is pushed to pass that line once again. This is going to be a big deal.
I think it's going to be a ride that becomes a comparison point. What do you think of it in comparison to Fury 325?
Spanning 2 states, it's the tallest roller coaster of its kind on Earth. Yet, its skyscraping 3,000 tons of steel represent more than a milestone status, but the lives changed along the track to greatness. Now, you're about to meet 5 of the people this ride has left a lasting impression on, from the brainstormers to the thrill conquerors, the ones who have taken Fury 325 from dreams to screams.
Once you have a taste for working on a project or working within a park, you either stay for about a couple months and you don't like it, or you stay for life. That's kind of my story.
For those of you not born, be seated quickly, buckle your seatbelts.
For Rob Decker, the ride starts years before guests load into a new coaster at one of Cedar Fair's 11 amusement park properties.
I'm an architect hired by a company that was working on a big contract, and I wasn't sure that I would want to work in this industry, but that contract was Universal Studios Florida, and that kept me busy for like a year and a half, but it just seemed interesting.
The train is locked, station clear, scanning, dispatch.
Straight through the industry. My boss then was Lee Jewett, a longtime designer, masterful things with Cedar Fair, and he was looking forward to retirement. And my name came up and came in and interviewed.
I've got 2 sons that work with me. My best friend works in the office with Velma, my wife, so it's pretty much family business.
The name of it used to be Top Gun, but this is actually the first B&M coaster that we ever installed. That's a picture of my dad.
I was around 18 years old when I got into construction. My dad always pushed me to start my own business, and Velma and I talked about it and prayed about it, a lot of praying. And Velma just basically told me, she said, you got to step out on faith. And started giving some cards out, and within 2 months, we had 40 employees. So we were actually working at Carowinds, doing some welding, and John Roof came down and asked me, could I put up a ride? John was over maintenance and new construction. I told him if he had the drawings, I could do it. That was our first ride, was the drop zone. The first ride was very tough. Didn't know if that's what I wanted to do or not. The second ride was a little easier. Once we started on the roller coasters and stuff like that, I felt like that's what I was supposed to be doing. John passed away last year, but he was a driving force, for me. He always told me, Ronnie, you're a leader. You're not a follower. You need to lead. I've always remembered that.
So I started working at Dorney Park when I was 14 years old. My sister was working in merchandise and I had a ride. And I thought it'd be really cool to work in the games department because I always liked playing games when I was a kid. I worked there all through high school, all through college. When I graduated from college, I have a degree in elementary education. I had an opportunity to be the games manager, and I signed up. Eventually, I was given the opportunity to be the general manager. That's the finish line. Dream job right there. Check the box, I'm good. And then I got a phone call last year, and it was our COO, and he said, hey Mike, how you doing? Good. He said, how's your weather today? You gonna have a good day at the park? I said, yep. He said, what do you think about Charlotte? Charlotte's a great park. I know we got a lot of big things planned. And, about a week later, I was driving down here, and my mom was a little upset with me that I wasn't going into teaching, but it's turned out to be okay.
I realized when I was a kid coming to Carowinds, someone should have said, you're not normal. I loved it way too much. My parents, all my friends I had come with, they would be sitting on the bench and I would still be riding. Isn't it time to go yet? Nope, not time to go yet. I'm not done. In '99, my husband and I joined American Coaster Enthusiasts. I became the regional rep for ACE when we moved to Virginia. We figured out that I've ridden about 350 different roller coasters.
My love for amusement parks started when I worked at Valley Fair in the summer of 1999. It was a ride operator. I really had no clue what roller coasters in general were. I just needed a summer job. After that summer, we heard about a place called Cedar Point building this massive first giga coaster ever built. And we said we need to take a road trip next year. And so we did. I fell in love with the coasters and the coaster community. It had me involved in several websites, doing podcasting, YouTube videos. I've been running around ever since, just riding roller coasters. Every roller coaster enthusiast has their coaster count, and I'm over 300 roller coasters now.
In the heart of the Carolinas, a 1970s vision known as Carowinds had come into a new era under the flags of Cedar Fair. Now, Rob Decker had the monumental task of helping lead the park into a new era of thrills that would echo around the world.
We had developed Intimidator in 2010, which is a hypercoaster. We raised the bar a little bit there, made it a little higher than some of the others. The Carolinas just responded so positively that we had great reviews and high demand for the ride. We elevated the attendance level, and we were very pleased with that lift and then how it sustained. We don't spend a lot of time chasing a lot of what if we did this and that. We really try to get to the essence of the ride right away, and we could spend the rest of the time just perfecting that notion. And we kept in mind the success of Gatekeeper was that it crossed the front gate.
Taking cues from flagship park Cedar Point's 2013 attraction, Rob and his team set out to rebrand Carowinds' first impressions through their new coaster.
What we did with Fury 325 is we did a layout, and we tried to carve out as much space as possible. So I definitely wanted to make a big right-hand turn and head out to the front gate, and we just kept working with ideas. And the one this time, instead of flying over the gate itself, is to pull it out in front. And part of that really was out of the constraint. The Palladium is right there, you had to get around it, it's big, we wanted to do something special. That's when we developed a tunnel that you can dive under and walk across the bridge at the point of entry and really have a special place that you can sort of celebrate as your arrival for the day. When you get the attributes of the tallest lift hill at 325 feet, delivering 95 miles an hour, I just didn't want to waste all of that inertia. I really wanted to go someplace and do some wonderful elements, and not just as many elements as we could fit in, but one sets up the next, and it's a nice sequence of events.
Fury 325 would be the 96th coaster from Bolliger and Mabillard, a Swiss firm Rob keeps on speed dial.
That's the type of dialogue that I have with B&M, with Walter Bolliger directly. It's really special. You know, he always takes my call. I try to be respectful of the time difference. So it's the first thing in the morning for me, so that's when the energy is really cooking. And I don't try a whole lot of nutty stuff with him. I mean, I really try to give him challenges that I know he can deliver on and he can just perfect for us. I said, look, if we're going too far, you pull us right back. And so through this process, we kind of did a sketch and sent it out. Something came back. We moved a couple pieces. And one example is where you cross the bridge and it flies over. That was on the opposite side. It was on the parking lot side in one of the first schemes. I said, if we flip that to the other side and had the rider facing outward toward the parking lot while people were walking in, maybe there's that connection of people watching people buzz by on the ride. And I was really trying with that bank curve to have like a NASCAR moment. It seemed to fit with the Carolinas. And then my challenge to him was, can you hold the speed all the way through and then maximize the air time? Climbing over the hill or even bank turns, which by the way are amazing to get air time out of a bank. And that is the story of Fury 325.
B&M gives you a sequence, an installation manual, and it tells you when you're looking at the job to bid it, you know what you're picking up, what pieces go together and how much they weigh. We're looking at the weights and the heights of this thing, and it's a monster. We've never done anything that tall or that heavy.
The drawings on the Fury 325 is probably this thick.
You know, the coaster community is kind of crazy. It's the only kind of place where the second you start seeing markers on the pavement, you start seeing spray paint, you start seeing flags on trees, they start reacting. It could be a bathroom, it could be a 325-foot Giga coaster. You never know what's going to happen. The coaster community follows all of it, from the construction of a bathroom to, oh, it's just a bathroom, to this is something bigger than a bathroom. And you don't get the whole story until that announcement day, where you log into your computer, you sit down and you patiently wait for Carowinds to say, guys, we can finally tell you, we're building Fury 325.
I'd heard stirrings of a new coaster, a huge investment. Then when the big announcement came last August, I was in awe. It's the first time I've seen a real transformation in what this park has always been. The excitement through the winter, to know that this was built in 9 months blows me away.
With the better part of 8.5 acres stripped down to the dirt, Ronnie and his crew started on the challenge of a lifetime.
Right now we're in week number 3, unloading all the track steel, and probably a week and a half of actually erecting the steel. Approximately 10 to 12 pieces of track are in. Tomorrow we'll be setting the base of the station. Probably Friday we'll start erecting the lift. That's a heck of a challenge. I think all the guys are looking forward to it. All my guys are veterans. We've been through a lot of projects together. This is 107, the finish, and watching the ride run and no problems at all, and people enjoying it, and you know, my guys actually riding it themselves. That's what I look for. We were moving stuff around in the parking lot there one day, and I just kind of looked back. The thing was nowhere close to being as high as we were going, and I was kind of sitting out there saying, this thing is huge, you know. When you get the drawings, you kind of look at them, but until you experience that 300 feet, it just doesn't do it justice. We started up the lift, and it was a beast. You got a crane that's picking up 100,000 pounds, and then you build a column that weighs 240,000 pounds. At one time, we had 5 cranes. Near the top, we had columns that spaced out 5 or 6 pieces of track, so that was definitely a challenge. You had to fly one in, let that crane hold that piece while you try to fly another one in and hold it, and then you got cranes holding everything else, and then you got to get your guys up there, put it together. And the piece went in. I mean, it floated right in. It makes you feel good when you see something like that happen. It's a little bit nerve-wracking to watch all that big stuff go in the air. You got to have good guys. You got to pray for your guys every night. Pray for them to be safe.
Once we finally finished the lift hill, I went out and I walked to the top, 458 steps all the way to the top. And let me tell you, I was sore for 2 days afterwards. That's a lot of steps. But the view from the top is just breathtaking. You can see Charlotte, you can look all around. And I got to look straight down that drop, 81 degrees. It looks like you're gonna go straight into the earth. Honestly, you know, I can't wait to ride that. There's over 2 years of planning that goes into building a roller coaster of this magnitude. 50 engineers working on it, on top of it going through 2 different states. So there was quite a lengthy approval process. We did things to put ourselves in a position to have things ready. You know, we closed the North Gate last year during Haunt, which is our busiest time of the year, but we did that so we could get a jump on the projects. The biggest struggle is just things out of your control that can affect what we end up doing. You worry about the weather, because if we get snow or if we get rain, we lose construction time. And we want to have the ride ready for the opening of the year. We wanted to hit 325 for the media day.
When we put the final piece in, I actually had hold to the rope guiding the piece in. My son Travis was up top. It dropped in, we had an 1/8 of an inch gap for the track to float in, which is perfect. From start to finish, there's a lot of work putting a roller coaster up. When you finally put that last piece in, you know that your guys are coming behind torquing and buffing the track, and it's finished. It's definitely a sense of relief.
Today we put the very last piece of track in. 6,602 feet of track are now here at Carowinds for Fury 325. Makes it the longest steel roller coaster on this half of the planet. That doesn't mean we're ready to ride. We have to make sure that all the bolts throughout this whole ride are torqued to 590 foot-pounds. We have to grout all of the foundations in place. The wiring, pneumatics, the ride control system. There's a lot of time and testing that needs to go in yet. So we've got a couple of weeks before we're ready to start running any trains, but I can't wait. If you're in our industry, you want to be a part of change and excitement, and that's why I'm here. I just had to come to be a part of it.
Do you wanna go faster? Yeah!
So I get a phone call. I'm at Cub Scouts with my son Carter. He's 7 years old. They said, hey Mike, it's ready. I said, buddy, we gotta go. And he said, but Dad, we're in the middle of a bowling game. I said, Carter, we gotta go. They're ready to run Fury. We drove down here from Rock Hill.
And finally that moment came where we made that decision, okay, we're gonna go up to the queue line, we're gonna get this over with.
I had this almost awestruck moment watching that train run for the first time. I was so excited, just couldn't even contain myself. Jumped in the front row for my first ride. I was very lucky.
You get strapped in, you're ready to go, you get to the lift hill. And the lift hill's faster, I think, than you anticipated, but it still takes a long time to get to the top because, I mean, that's 1,100 feet of chain.
So I'm like, wow, this is a climb.
You're looking straight up in the sky, you got news copters flying around.
I could really feel that anticipation building up.
Everybody on the train has the same passion for roller coasters that you do, so you hear them talking and clapping.
You're contemplating your decision the whole way to the top. You get to the top.
It didn't hit me until that moment when we crested the hill and I looked down and saw that drop.
It feels like it bows in a little. Airtime on that first drop, you go up, you get in the first turn, airtime in the turn, it defies some things that you would normally expect.
It's like a side airtime that it does. It just whips you, not in a way that normal coasters do.
And then you get to weave through and fly by the main entrance gate, go through the turnaround, under the hive dive.
I got so excited about the 91-degree overbank turn that I missed the tunnel completely. And I went, whoa, I missed the tunnel. So I said, I gotta ride it again.
It switches from excitement to just trying to capture all of the moment. And you never do in the first time.
3 really big elements of airtime before you get back. The head chopper and the helix.
After a few rides, I get to see all those little elements and all the little details that really make the ride such an amazing experience.
And then you have to ride it the second and third time just to start capturing all the nuances.
The ride is phenomenal, and it cost me a brownie sundae on the way home. Unfortunately, Carter's just a little bit too short, so he didn't get to ride it with me.
Fittingly, on 3/25/2015, the ride is unveiled to media and special guests.
Now, are you guys excited for Fury 325? I am so excited that you're here with me today to unleash Fury 325, the world's tallest and fastest giga coaster. Now, when you look at this gigantic, record-breaking, colossal roller coaster, please remember, it took hundreds of people, thousands of hours in order to put this ride together and bring it to life.
I do appreciate my role because I have the opportunity to work with an incredible team, very creative and very dedicated individuals that work on every major attraction in our 11 parks around Cedar Fair. So here we are, we're at the finish line. Finish line for us is really the starting line for you because we hand it over to you today.
That coaster count I was talking about, top 3 coasters, it now hit number 2. This is one of my absolute favorite roller coasters.
I'm gonna put Fury in the top 3 with the Beast and Millennium Force.
That has to be one of the best coasters I've ever been on. That was phenomenal. This is gonna be a big deal. Coasters, you know, they always go up and they're like, there we are. And this one now is pushed to pass that line once again.
It's one of the first rides that I remember in a long time. It's so encompassing. It's not about its speed. It's not about its height. It's about the whole package it provides. Even the general public will sense there's something special about this. It's going to be something everybody will remember. I think it's going to be a ride that becomes a comparison point. Almost the history Millennium Force has held for the last 15 years, I think this is going to be one of those rides. What do you think of it in comparison to Fury 325?
On the North Carolina side of the park, 1,470 riders an hour secure seat belts and clamshell lap restraints before it's thumbs up. With 32 passengers loaded into one of 3 trains, Fury moves out of the station and toward the world's tallest lift hill. Once the chain starts pulling riders skyward, it's a quick 40-second climb to the full 325 feet. The park sinks below on the right as Fury 325 eclipses Intimidator's 232-foot lift hill, the Sky Tower's 262-foot tower, and even wind seekers 301-foot heights. To the left, the skyline of downtown Charlotte becomes visible 10 miles in the distance. Finally, the crest of the hill approaches. Relentlessly, Fury catapults riders out of their seats as it descends 32 stories, then climbs into a 19-story barrel turn at 95 miles an hour. With sheer blinding speed, a bank over the entrance into South Carolina provides rare lateral airtime, then another bank in the opposite direction sets riders up for the overbanked horseshoe turnaround and hive dive under the entrance. A 10-story left bank floats riders out of their seats again and back into North Carolina, followed by a 111-foot hill feeding into the helix. Banking right, the train narrowly misses a white column, completing nearly 360 degrees straight into a camelback over the first drop. With a slight left turn, another camelback sails riders under the lift. Then a slight right sends them weightlessly over one more climb and into the brakes to complete 6,602 feet of teal and lime green track.
When we started on the first ride, it was definitely a challenge. And I never thought that's what I would be doing. Been around a pretty good bit, and I've enjoyed it. I mean, I love putting up roller coasters. But to be honest with you, no, I didn't think I'd ever put one up this big.
One of the things I'm most excited about is coming and seeing that excitement of everybody just right when they get to that entrance and the coaster's right there above them, hearing the sound of the track, hearing the screams. I can't wait to see that excitement.
This is the greatest job in the world. I mean, our job is to give people memories. People come to the park and they remember that first roller coaster. They remember when they were finally tall enough. You know, they get their pictures taken. They celebrate your birthday. Some people go and get married on roller coasters. I mean, there's no better place. There really isn't.
Most satisfying, the way I feel, is working with my family. At the end of the day, knowing that you accomplished something, and something that's going to make some people happy, it has definitely been a blessing to us, and I thank the Lord every day for it.
It's not a job you can leave at work. I'm always at home, I'm always on the computer, I'm always doing stuff. I want to be a super dad and still have this kind of responsibility and job, so I take them both very seriously. Sometimes my wife will say, "You're still thinking about work, right?" I said, "Yeah, but I think I've got something really cool going on." Your mind's always locked in. I am fortunate with all the hours and the demand. It's still my schedule, and I didn't miss cheerleading. I did not miss a track meet. I really had to be there because of those moments I wanted to share with them, My son would say, "Dad, you don't have to come, you don't have to know." And then I would see him line up and he would look around, so that's important, that's the important part of life. Where people are today, overscheduled, overbooked, when they can have time together in the park without all of those other interruptions, you just want it to be the best possible.
When you look up there, you see everybody up there and everybody's smiling and they're kicking their feet and they're waving and they're happy and they're going around and around and they keep re-riding. You know this ride has definitely hit the mark.
It's forever changed the landscape of one major amusement park, redefining careers, dreams, and hobbies along the way. It's the common bragging rights that both Carolinas can call their own. It's the journey of an unprecedented monster. From dreams to screams.
I'm fast, can you see me? I'm moving so fast, and you're in my control. This is real, time to ride. Are you ready? Let's go. Let's go to the sky and prepare yourself to fly. taking me to 3 to 5. Feel the fury, it surrounds me, lets me know that I'm alive.
For more documentaries and updates on current and future projects, visit devinolson.com.
Are you gonna ride Fury when it's?
No. But I'll be there when all my guys will ride it.
Honestly, I thought it was okay, and I really didn't. No, I'm kidding.
We're at negative 21 dB.
Not negative 21 dB. I can't believe we're at negative 21.
You're at negative 21.
Wow.
All right.
It feels more like maybe about 55 or 60, but.
Give me
Is this all crap? I feel like that.
some sort of a state.
My daughter's first ride on Millennium Force, she said, "Get me off of this thing now." And I said, "It's a little late, we're on the lift hill." And we had to go. I think she was doing it because she knew I was so proud of that project that she felt like she had to experience it. And so I try to still balance that dad versus, gee, this is what I made and don't you think it's cool too moment, you know?